Operation Sindoor. That's what India called its recent counter-terror operation.
Pakistan's sponsored terror strike at Pahalgam was met with a calibrated response from the Indian Army.
Symbolic, emotional, and strategic. It was a clear message. The country won't bend in the face of external threats. But as missiles were fired and military defenses activated, a very different war broke out online. Within hours, WhatsApp groups were flooded with unverified warnings. Videos showing blasts from previous conflicts were passed off as new footage from Indian cities. Tweets claiming imminent cyber attacks began trending. On Facebook, pictures of unrelated army operations were recycled and exaggerated. And before fact checkers could even react, the damage had been done. What unfolded wasn't just casual misinformation, it was digital panic in several districts. Schools shut down as precautionary measures, and people began hoarding essentials. Local administrations were overwhelmed with rumors. News channels scrambled to publish breaking news, and while the physical battlefield was being managed, India found itself facing another front, one far more difficult to control: the war against viral falsehoods. And that brings us to the central question of this video. How prepared is India's legal system to tackle misinformation? Especially in the digital age where lies spread faster than facts, and technology like deepfakes, AI-generated voices, and bots make it nearly impossible to tell what's real and what's not. Let's start at the constitutional level. Article 19, Clause 1, Clause A of the Indian Constitution guarantees all citizens the freedom of speech and expression. This is a fundamental right, an essential pillar of any democracy, but it is not absolute. Article 19, Clause 2 allows the state to impose reasonable restrictions on this freedom in the interest of public order, national security, decency, morality, and more. That means while you have the right to express your opinions, that right doesn't extend to intentionally spreading falsehoods, provoking violence, or causing mass hysteria. Now, moving beyond the Constitution, let's take a look at the criminal framework. India recently replaced the Indian Penal Code with Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, also known as BNS, and several of its provisions are directly relevant to misinformation. Take Section 353 for instance. It criminalizes any statement, rumor, or report, whether written, spoken, or shared electronically, that may incite public fear, alarm, or communal tensions. If a person circulates a false claim that disrupts public tranquility or stokes conflict between communities, they can face imprisonment of up to 3 years. And if this is done near a place of worship or during religious gatherings, the sentence can extend up to 5 years. What's interesting is that law offers a small window of defense if the person believed that the information that they were spreading at the time was true. But as we all know, in the online world, determining intent is like trying to catch smoke with our hands. Then there's Section 197 of the BNS, which deals with acts that promote disaffection against India's unity or sovereignty. This becomes especially crucial when misinformation is used to spread anti-national narratives or secessionist ideologies. In an environment as politically sensitive as today's, such sections are increasingly invoked but also increasingly questioned. Section 212 covers the furnishing of false information to public servants. If someone deliberately misleads authorities with fake alerts, say about a terror threat or a riot, they could face serious charges. It's a crucial tool for law enforcement during emergencies, and even these provisions can only go so far, because misinformation today isn't just spread by individuals. It's amplified by bots, algorithms, and networks with far greater reach than one person. That brings us to the Information Technology Act of 2000, India's primary legislation governing the digital space. For instance, Section 66E penalizes the violation of privacy, including the sharing of unauthorized images, especially relevant in the age of deepfakes. Section 67 deals with publication and transmission of obscene or sexually explicit content online. Meanwhile, Section 66F, which addresses cyberterrorism, is invoked in more severe cases, where digital content directly threatens India's security or public safety. However, there's a clear gap. The IT Act as it stands doesn't directly criminalize the routine everyday spread of false news, especially political misinformation, health-related hoaxes, or communal rumors that don't involve explicit threats but still have a damaging impact. Recognizing this loophole, the government has proposed a Digital India Bill to replace the outdated IT Act. This new legislation aims to define misinformation more clearly and penalize it more effectively. Among the proposed changes are specific definitions for deepfakes, fake news, and harmful content. There's talk about setting up a new Digital India Authority that can oversee takedowns, penalize offenders, and enforce content moderation standards. The penalties are expected to be stricter, including UP's controversial life imprisonment for creation or circulation of anti-national digital content. But that term, anti-national, remains worryingly vague. Who defines it? Could criticism of government policy be misrepresented as anti-national? Could satire be censored? This brings us to a very delicate balance between regulating misinformation and protecting free speech. And this is not a hypothetical concern. It already played out in the fact-check unit controversy. In 2023, the Indian government set up a fact-check unit under the Press Information Bureau, empowering it to flag any online content related to government policies which were fake or false. But critics immediately questioned the lack of independence and transparency. Could the government really be allowed to decide what's true about itself? Comedian and satirist Kunal Kamra challenged this in the court. The Bombay High Court delivered a split verdict. Justice Gautam Patel struck down the rule, calling it unconstitutional and disproportionate under Article 14, Article 19, Clause 1, Clause A and G. Justice Neela Gokhale upheld the rule. The matter went to a third judge, Justice A.S. Chandurkar, who ruled in the favor of Kamra. He pointed out that the rule gave government unchecked powers, failed the proportionality test, and could have a chilling effect on free expression. Later, the Supreme Court echoed these concerns in the case of Editors Guild of India versus Union of India, putting the fact-check unit on a hold pending detailed constitutional review. Two landmark judgments serve as important reference points in this debate. The first is Shreya Singhal versus Union of India case. This case struck down the Section 66A of IT Act and criminalized sending offensive messages through electronic communication. The court held that language of the section was vague, arbitrary, and capable of misuse. It had been used to arrest people for memes, posts, and political criticism. By declaring it unconstitutional, the court sent a clear message. Vague laws cannot be used to threaten free speech. The second judgment is case Puttaswamy versus Union of India, which established the right to privacy as a fundamental right under Article 21. This judgment becomes more especially relevant today as misinformation often involves digital manipulation, surveillance, and misuse of personal data. Fake videos or messages frequently rely on stolen identities or AI-generated likeness, raising serious concerns of privacy. The Puttaswamy judgment sets a legal boundary. The state cannot violate your digital rights without due process and necessity. So where does this leave us? On paper, India has a growing legal arsenal to deal with misinformation. The BNS, the IT Act, and the proposed Digital India Bill, but enforcement is patchy and intent is hard to prove. Technology keeps evolving, often outpacing law. More importantly, we need to ensure that laws meant to tackle misinformation don't become tools of censorship. At the end of the day, misinformation isn't just a legal issue, it's a cultural one. It's about how we consume information, how quickly we believe what we see, and how responsibly we choose to share it. No law can stop a rumor you want to believe, but awareness can, and conversations like this can. If this video helped you understand the complex web around misinformation in India, make sure to subscribe to Lolly and drop a comment about the weirdest fake news you've come across online. And remember, next time someone forwards you a panic-inducing video, don't just forward it on, pause, verify, and think. Because the law may catch the source, but only you can stop the spread. Stay informed and stay empowered. Thank you.